Before this video begins, I want to address the success of my last upload about Top. It's become my most successful video on this channel. It broke through all my previous records and I'm freaking up over 100 subscribers. It's been absolutely fun reading all the comments and having conversations with people, which has been a great thing really, because this is part of the reasons why I've created this channel. I just want to have conversations about things that I enjoy with people that I wouldn't speak to in my day-to-day life. With that being said, if you're coming from that video and you're watching this one, thanks so much. I appreciate it. It's kind of embarrassing for me that this would be a new viewer's first video, because the upcoming video is freaking basic. It's bare bones. It's lackluster. It's really nothing crazy, but coming up in February, I do have more coming up, more things that would be interested for you if you've come from that video. And that's it really. Thanks so much. The success has been crazy and welcome aboard.
And that's not to say they're important or that you should care, but I just don't have a creative title and it feels proper for how I'm going to handle this discussion. So stick around for a while. Hang out. Today, I'm continuing my unfinished business with this year's award circuit. And man, is the journey ahead a long one. You have no clue what I said on the last episode, but I spewed how no one saw the Brutalist and I was bewildered by Adrien Brody's win at the Globes. A lot sure has happened since. It came out in more than just 2 cities. The LA fires, glad progress is being made there. What else? We have a new president, Oscar nominations were announced, and I saw the Brutalist twice. My first viewing was peppered with coughing, mucus, and timing my spitting into a napkin during the loud parts so that no one would notice. Needless to say, it was a mess, but I was still able to recognize its greatness. Dude, it's a visually beautiful movie with a beautiful soundtrack. And now on my second watch, I have a pretty crystal clear view on it. And I'll just tell you before we get into it, okay? I already said it's beautiful, but it's really, honestly, genuinely not my favorite. I have read disputes, not disputes, but comments made online how people just love the second part over the first one, and I respectfully, freaking surprisingly disagree.
I do respect the hell out of The Brutalist as a work of art though.
It got 10 Oscar nominations, and I do think it's justified. It just didn't hit my brain as spectacularly as I wanted it to, and that's okay. Let's hop over to voiceover. Something I noticed on my second watch was that Erzsébet narrating her letters offer pretty high mountaintops in the movie. The introduction, case in point. That shot of the Statue of Liberty with the score goes so hard, and letter 1 sets the conflict of reuniting a family. That was a quick hop, but I want to emphasize to your face that it's not just the narration aspect, which I eat up in a movie. It's the whole package. It's that aspect combined with the visuals and the music that freaking hit your emotions. Erzsébet's second letter goes hard too when the funding is discussed and you get a compilation of building and progression. She gets the family photo and asks, does this mean we will finally be reunited? Straight to the intermission. Oh my god, talk about an orchestrated masterpiece. I'm gonna blow up all over this microphone. With how pumped up that makes me, this is actually a perfect transition to talk about how great part 1 is. I was going to gloss over the letter to 𝙎𝙀𝙀𝙁𝙀𝙀𝙀 to wrap up the letter concept, but my second viewing has opened my eyes to which side I prefer in the disparity and debates over. As the movie played on my second watch and I started seeing how much light there was in the first part, I couldn't help but recollect from my first viewing how dark and devastating part 2 was. I started remembering the energy that part 2 brings us, and it's just a devastating slope of harassment, drugs, familial sadness, trauma. I don't give a damn how effective narratively part 2 is and how it plays into the final line because of this shift. Part 1 was what I expected from the Brutalist. The American dream, an inspiring journey, an epic win to be cheered for. And that second letter with everything going on is extinguished right after the intermission. I'm not disappointed by part 2 by any means, but the tonal shift is insane. You go from Laszlo's victory to 3 minutes into part 2 and Harrison is being rude to him in front of his family. You know, I'm curious to see how the home release handles the intermission, because those 15 minutes really ease the transition from the 2 parts. I just wanted and was geared up for achievement and success, not hardship and suffering. That's all. You could argue that Oppenheimer wasn't all happiness due to his feelings towards the bomb's usage, but the Brutalist doesn't offer a grand, expected built up momentful moments in its second half, and the scrutiny face feels so much more personal and therefore sickening. Letter to 𝙎𝙀𝙾𝙄𝘼 slaps though. From memory, I believe it's the first time we see the actual building, and Erzsébet describes the madness of Laszlo. It's a good showcase on his manic obsession of getting this freaking forsaken building done with, accompanied by the score. I just freaking love these three letters and their moments and what they bring to the movie so much. I know this is a grand, intense epic, but I don't care for an intellectually stimulating conversation about it. I can't provide input like that because at best, I speak like a passionate normie. I think Guy Pearce is freaking great in this. I've only seen him in LA Confidential, but took an immediate interest in him from just that, man. That mustache plus no glasses works overtime, changing his look. And his screaming in his first scene and the derailed train argument was instantly iconic to me because of how much force he was putting behind his words. And I would copy them, but I can't scream right now. Maybe I'll do some psycho shit in my car.
This man was yelling like, "What is this? What is this? My mother's outside and she's sick and she needs to be inside, but there's a black man. Somebody explain what's going on."
I think I found out 𝙎𝙊𝘾𝙄𝘾𝙄𝘼. I should have looked up how to say that. 𝙎𝙊𝘾 was in this movie on the ride to the theater for showing one, and this was my first proper exposure to him outside of random Taylor Swift ex-boyfriend posts. I gotta say, I love his proper 50s American voice. Is it just the fact that he's an English man putting on an accent? Look, I don't know, but Harry's such a questionable character. Not to use slightly elevated language, but the furniture shop scenes and the dinner dance feel like a singularity throughout the Brutalist's runtime. I wish we spent more time with those characters. Too bad the wife was a biatch. It was nice to see Emma Laird in another production though. She was another one where I didn't even know she was in the movie until like the freaking day of. She was in the crowded room. That's a throwback. And Felicity Jones, she pulled an Emma Blunt at the end there with the hardcore defending husband scene. That was badass. And oh my god, yo, the ending scene is a one-shot take. It felt like watching a freaking stage play. That might be my favorite part of the whole freaking movie. And those are my thoughts on The Brutalist. Kind of a lackluster conversation, but it didn't speak to my brain so much as I wanted it to. And my creative output reflects. Or maybe I'm BSing and this was pretty sufficient enough. To reiterate, it's visually beautiful. So much so that even if it had a bad story, I think the picture itself would hold my attention. And the soundtrack is so good. I've fallen into the practice of listening to them while I work on its respective movie's video. And this one, at times, can speak to your soul. This is excluding some of the heavy hitters such as Bus and Steel, but the piano, when featured, does a lot of heavy lifting on the track, providing a reflecting and tragic tone to it. And Erzsébet's playing while I write this part, and I kid you not, I feel like I'm falling in love and want to see it all over again. Do the pitfalls of the dark turns not matter when being serenaded by this melody? If you can reflect back on an experience and this is the result of it, wanting to be back engrossed in it all, isn't that what matters? Is the destination truly what should be valued and not the journey? I gotta wrap this up. The Brutalist is a great movie for all the right reasons. I'll be rooting for it to snatch up some wins when the time comes. I just wished I liked it more. Stay tuned as we dig further into Timmy versus Adrian and perhaps watch Amelia Perez along the way. Love what you like, my friends. Protect your energy. And I actually do believe this movie has some quotable parts to it, and there was one I really wanted to use for this video, but I forgot it. But I hope you found this conversation to be intellectually stimulating. I don't give a shit about the AI conversation. It's void of value and at best was only used during the few bits of spoken Hungarian dialogue for certain letters.